waking up your neighborhood with what's happening. It's Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Where's the corn sweat when we need it? Now I feel like we need a warm up. Deanna Springer, Ninja, have you ever heard of corn sweat?
Not until this year.
Oh my goodness! When I saw that yesterday afternoon, I honestly did a what?
Wait.
Yeah. What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and it's not just corn; it's all foliage apparently.
It's crazy. Like, where's the soybean sweat
update?
Come on.
It makes so much sense.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. So the new word that we're going to try to work into conversation is Evo. Oh, I can't even say it. Evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration. That is the technical term for corn sweat. And I missed Kara this morning on the morning show, and I'm wondering if we'll continue to get corn sweat updates as we wind down summer. So
we'll
silly.
Request it for
sure. But really, a high near 76 today, so that is a gift. We will take it after the last couple of days. Just a lot of clouds hanging with us both today and tonight, and then tomorrow warming up a little bit with a high of 81. Can you believe we're launching into the Labor Day holiday weekend?
No, it's here already.
It is crazy. This lovely face and voice, Deanna Springer, with Downtown Beaver Dam Inc. and the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio. We're going to talk a lot today about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. I know that this is like the pinnacle of what you do, along with the Stitch It sisters and your crew. So looking forward to diving into the details, and it's always a pleasure when you're here. Thank you,
It's
Deanna.
great to see you, Amy.
We are live in the Summerland Furniture Studios and the Daily Dodge TV studios as we stream at dailydodge.com. You can click on the Daily Dodge TV tab there and also subscribe to Daily Dodge TV on our YouTube channel. And when you do that, please make sure that you click the notifications icon so you don't miss any of the happenings in the Daily Dodge TV studio, whether we're here at 100 Bill McCullum Way or out and about. We are not taking the Daily Dodge TV studio over to Watertown today for the brat fry, but that is going to be a happening. And Deanna, you had mentioned as we were getting settled into the Daily Dodge TV studios that you could smell brats.
I smell the brats cooking. As soon as I pulled up and opened my car door, I'm like, brats. It's a brat Friday.
Maybe they'll bring us some for breakfast.
Right.
You know, brats for breakfast are always
them,
good.
Right?
Yeah, they're on their way to Watertown today to Spiro Heritage Homes. Our brat fries happen from 11 to 1, so make your way over there and join the crew. Learn what is happening at Spiro Heritage Homes. For $2, you get that tasty Pernat brat and a beverage, and our brat fries powered by AmeriGas. And we also have another big brat fry happening this Friday, and I'll share those details with you throughout Hometown Today this morning. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. We will launch into our conversation with Deanna about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show next here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hey, it's Randy from Professional Floor Covering. You're listening to Hometown Today on the 5,000-watt flamethrower on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Oh, thank goodness again that corn sweat is just not going to be an issue today. There's no crazy heat index. There's no excessively hot day that we're going to have to deal with. Just a lot of clouds and some nice sunshine as we make our way near a high of 76. Perfect day for you to make your way over to Watertown and join us for a world famous brat fry. For $2, you get that tasty per nap brat and a beverage. And your destination today between 11 and 1 for this world famous brat fry in Watertown is Spiro Heritage Homes. And make sure that you are checking the Brat Fry schedule on the Brat Fry page at dailydodge.com, because we do have a couple more before we wrap the season. Even though this is the weekend, we're supposedly winding down summer, and then we can't wear anything white after Monday. There's a lot going on. And before Deanna and I get going here, and again, Deanna Springer, our guest today, we're going to talk about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We have to do a proper producer welcome to Wally Lukachensky. He is producing Hometown Today. And we really love and adore Wally. We are so happy to have him as a part of our team. And he popped down here when we were in a commercial break just to ask a question. And we meant what we said. If you have a question, Wally, you just pop right on the air and let us know. We are all here to help. And we really appreciate you producing Hometown Today this morning. So years ago, in a previous radio live, Amy Hudson was at the Dane County Coliseum for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And there with my radio setup and games and prizes, and you would have thought the Beatles were in the house when people were getting set to be where they needed to be to see and hear Nancy Zeman speak. That was my first realization as to what a big deal Nancy Zeman was. I remember the show, Sewing with Nancy. We were a PBS family. You know, we kind of had to be like in the 70s and 80s, but even after the big, launch of cable, we always had PBS on. My Aunt Helen's house, my parents' house, and so that's how I was familiar. But it was not until that day, the first day of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show many years ago, that I was like, wow, this is really something. So I'm so appreciative of the relationship that you and I have, Deanna, because I like you. You're fun. You are talented. And you have such a rich history with Nancy Zeman and the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, which is what we're going to focus on today.
Time you, Amy.
You're
it's
welcome.
Wonderful. A mutual admiration society, as Nancy would say. And I remember those early remotes. I'm here because the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show is 20 years old. Next week, this is our 20th show. Yes.
I'm so excited.
Drop
I can't even
the
find my
pen.
pen to make the note. Oh, that's awesome.
20 years. So I remember those early years when you were there doing the remote. Yeah. And I remember talking with you and meeting you, but who knew we would meet all these years later.
I love that.
And you were there when Nancy would walk in and the crowd would hush and just everyone would look at Nancy
in awe.
In awe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just got goosebumps.
I know,
Not because it's cold in the Daily Dodge TV studio, but that's
no matter where we would go, no matter where we'd go, whether it was in Madison or across the United States of America, everyone would recognize Nancy, whether she was on vacation in Europe. She'd be asked for autographs and photos.
Worldwide fans.
So, and such a humble, graceful person, from Beaver Dam. And she, lived, worked, played, went to church here, taught Sunday school here in Beaver Dam, and was treated like a regular person. And she really admired that. You probably know from radio, but it was the umbrella effect. In Beaver Dam, people just... We're regular people too, and she adored that. But she loved her fans too. And Sewing with Nancy's on public television for 40 years.
Wow.
So 40 years of Sewing with Nancy and 20 years of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And it was Nancy's idea for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show for a fundraiser for public television.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She approached PBS Wisconsin in probably 2002.
Okay.
And said, I have this great idea for a consumer quilt show, quilt focused, very much like the Garden and Landscape Expo that PBS Wisconsin does in February. Yeah. Modeled after that, but different. We brought our, quilting expertise from across traveling the country to different quilt shows. And made it the best show possible. And every year we try to top it and add something new.
Oh my goodness, that's part of the fun and the challenge, and really what needs to happen in order to keep people engaged. That is incredible. I had no idea that the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show started as a fundraiser for public television.
And that's what it is too. We're an award-winning fundraising event for creative fundraising. We've won national PBS awards, so it's pretty incredible. You have to stop by the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio and see the PBS Head Award for creative fundraising.
I would love to do that. Could I hold it when I go down and
we can
check
take a
that
picture
out?
with it.
I would really love that. So that started 20 years ago, Sewing with Nancy 40 years ago. When did you come into the picture, Deanna, and how did you get to know Nancy?
I was just a little baby. In 1989, I started working for Nancy. And then in 1999, working really closely with her in developing our consumer shows, our events, our big May event, of course, and working with the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, and now the Stitch It Sisters.
Oh, yay! Hello, Stitch It Sisters.
Good morning, Dana and Denise. I'm sure they're watching live.
I hope so. We want lots of folks to do that.
And my Stitch It Mr. Dennis is watching too, so thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I need to know, Deanna, we need to know, when you mentioned it was 89 that you started working with Nancy. I was 19 in 1989, so just a handful of years ago. How did you apply for a job? Did you make a phone call? Did you send your resume? How did this great collaboration happen?
Our daughter
between you guys?
was little, and she was going to go into preschool, only child, so we wanted her to get into preschool early, 3 and 4-year-old preschool, so she could be with other kids. And she rocked it, of course. Mom was a wreck, so Mom needed a part-time job.
Oh,
so
boy, I feel that.
Reading the newspaper, going back to school now.
Yeah.
Reading the newspaper, I saw an ad that Nancy was hiring right here in Beaver Dam.
Were you like, I know who that is?
I know who that is. I watch Sewing with Nancy on television. And I'd sewed, since I learned to sew when I was 6 years old from my mom and grandmothers, and playing with my mom's scraps. So sewing was just natural to me. And
You're
later
so
on, as
lucky.
I got to know Nancy, very similar story. We both, went through 4-H and learned to demonstrate and teach and speak. And boy, 4-H is such a great organization to help kids get a leg up on public speaking and all kinds of things. You know that.
It really is.
So that's how I applied. I went and filled out an application.
Were you nervous?
I came over to Beaver Dam from Columbus.
Oh,
and filled out
the
an
big
application.
city.
Oh, yes. And then I received a call in that Nancy was going to interview me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, were you nervous at that
What?
point?
Doesn't she have an HR person? I thought Nancy was going to interview me herself. But anyway, when I went in for the interview, she was out of town at a quilt show.
Oh, of course. Where else would she
Right,
be?
at a sewing show. And it was operations manager that interviewed me, and I got the job.
Yay! Of course, you got the job.
Yeah. So it was an expansion of the current retail store at the time. It was growing. The Bickel Avenue building was built in 1987, and in '89 was expanding already. And we went through 9 additions, growing that company to 130 employees, and
Wow.
I don't know how many square feet. Richard Zeman, if you're tuning in, you can call in and tell us how many square feet that original building was. Anyway, that original company was sold, and I've been with the Zeman family ever since.
That's really great. Tell us about that first time you did get to meet Nancy, since she was at a quilt show and a sewing show when you went in for your interview.
I did sew a navy blue peplum suit. A suit.
I like how you say that like it's not a big deal.
I tailored, especially
Wow.
for that interview. I probably was sewing late into the night. My daughter has fond memories of the sewing machine humming her to sleep. And I did a tailored, because I knew Nancy did a lot of sewing and tailoring, and I wanted to show that I can sew too.
Okay, that's great. Was that a requirement?
No.
Okay, way to elevate it.
Later on, it did. People would be asked to bring in projects they had sewn, especially if you were going to be a sewing advisor,
Okay.
or things like that. But my peplum suit, navy suit. Wish I still had it, but I don't. And sure enough, we met in the hallway, and she was just so graceful. like when she would meet anyone.
Or
It
were
was
your
wonderful.
knees shaking? Were your hands sweaty?
I don't remember. The first time I saw Nancy was at the first May sewing weekend in 1985. Our high school was there for home ec. So I remember what she was wearing. I don't remember what I was wearing. But
What was she wearing?
it was a cream knit outfit. So sewing with knits was a big deal.
Was it?
Sergers were just coming into the
Okay.
home in the 80s. Yeah, she had a gorgeous knit. The skirt was cut. Half of the bottom skirt was cut on the bias, and everything was pin tucked and classy.
Looking sharp.
She was classy.
Yeah, very classy.
Very classy.
Deanna Springer is with us here this morning. Deanna is with the Nancy Seaman Sewing Studio in downtown Beaver Dam, along with Downtown Beaver Dam Inc. And it's wonderful to hear you recall these great memories of your first meeting with Nancy Zeman and how you got to be a part of that legacy. The Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, will be happening in Madison September 5th through the 7th. We are going to share everything about it with you here this morning on Hometown Today, which is presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful, historic downtown Beaver Dam. I think the last time you were on with us, Deanna, Randy Wormka, the owner of Professional Floor Covering, had called in, and then I had learned that he helped with the flooring.
Right, the building of the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio.
Yeah,
Randy and his team did our flooring in our cupboards. We don't call them cupboards anymore. We call them
cabinets. Cabinets, darling, cabinets.
Cabinets and luxury plank vinyl flooring.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. And they have, as you know, an incredible selection of the LVP, that luxury vinyl plank. Maybe it's vinyl that you're after, hardwood, porcelain, tile, carpet. Really impressive, diverse selection of all types of flooring at Professional Floor Covering. And right now, 12 months interest-free for you. That is amazing on all flooring in the store. And yep, they can also help with kitchen cabinets and countertops, along with helping you upgrade your bathroom. Say bye-bye to that annoying, dangerous bathtub and just get that walk-in shower that you know you need and that you want. It will not break your budget. When you head over to talk to Randy and the team at Professional Floor Covering, they really listen and they do a great job of bringing your ideas to life within your budget. So pop on over to the showroom at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam. Have that free in-store consultation with Randy and the team and get going on your projects. Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. More with Deanna Springer here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hi, this is Randy, owner of Professional Floor Covering, and you're listening to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Oh, we so have your day planned out. World famous brat fry in Watertown from 11 to 1. Spiro Heritage Homes is your destination. For $2, you get that tasty per-nap brat and a beverage. Our brat fries powered by AmeriGas. Make sure you check out the brat fry schedule on the brat fry page at dailydodge.com. So you get to fill your belly with brats here this afternoon from 11 to 1. And then with corn during the 61st annual corn roast. It is Beaver Dam's annual corn roast. This is so much fun, and it's a great event that is put on by the Beaver Dam Chamber of Commerce. And Ninja, you were making myself and Deanna laugh because you were talking about how you and some of our other teammates that are headed over to Tower Lanes for the 61st annual corn roast, that you might have a different type of corn sweats.
Yeah, we're going to go for the record and see if we can eat the most corn out of anybody. I think last year they said like the record was something like 14 or 17 ears. I think I can beat that.
Oh my goodness.
I know you can.
So I think I can prepare you guys in a special way to make this happen. And I wish I had the visual. You guys know those little flossers? They're like what that
Yes.
plastic. So my husband posted a funny little meme that had an ear of corn with those pickers on, like using those
I
as
know where you're going.
your
That's
corn.
brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Your corn on the
Way to
cob
think
holders.
ahead.
Yeah,
Way to
you
think
keep
ahead.
on going.
Great.
That
And
stuff's
you've got
getting
'em right
stuck in there. But we hope Tower Lanes gets packed out and everyone joins the Beaver Dam Chamber of Commerce for the 61st annual corn roast. It really is unlimited brats, beer, fresh, ripe corn on the cob, soda pop available too, and what a great day. We are really lucky that the corn
heat
sweat
broke.
isn't high. Yeah, that the heat broke. So good luck tonight, Ninja. We'll be thinking of you.
We're
I
cheering for you.
have open house in Horicon. Our first day of school is next Tuesday,
yeah,
so I
back
have
to
to miss the
school.
corn roast. I know. And you love going back to this event every year, Deanna, the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And I'm still blown away to know that this is the 20th annual. That is a huge deal. And also knowing that it started as a fundraiser for public television, it's another great part of the Nancy Zeman legacy.
It sure is. Annually, the weekend after Labor Day, we enjoy the Labor Day long weekend, and then we pack up on Tuesday.
Okay, you're not in. You are working. I
Well, yeah,
bet you're
I
going to
work
be
every
working
day.
all through
It's
the
a labor
holiday
of
weekend.
love,
It
though,
is.
right? Labor of love. It's my life work. Someone asked me, I don't know, a couple years ago, so are you a lifer there? I never thought about that. I guess I guess I'm a lifer.
Well, when you
Working-
find the perfect fit and you know it is what you were meant to do, that's a good
Right,
thing.
it
yeah.
is.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, and what I'm working on this week today is hanging in front of us are two of Nancy Zeman's landscape quilts. So
They are so
these are two of the
beautiful.
20 that I'm gathering up.
I can see them on screen, but I'm going to get up and walk around. So I can
wow.
really take a
Yes. Go ahead there, Amy. You'll see the one in front of me with a lime green is called June's Roses. And the one in front of you, the name escapes me. Looking at them in reverse, they look like different quilts. Oh, and Ninja's panning down a little bit. Nancy did a lot of gardening, and Nancy took photos. I can't stop looking at them. The
I know
quilts.
they're really stunning.
Right,
The detail is extraordinary.
And we'll talk about how she made the quilts. Nancy learned how to do landscape quilting from her friend Natalie Sewell, and Ninja has a picture of that, of Nancy and Natalie teaching at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. So that's how it all begins. And looking at that image, you may think, oh, that's a printed piece of fabric. That's
Yeah.
a fabric panel that you buy that way. It's not. Nancy always started with, and Natalie, that's Natalie on the left, she taught Nancy how to do landscape quilting, probably, I think in probably 1999-ish.
Okay.
Early 2000s. And that's the day that Nancy fell in love with making landscape quilts, is the day she said, I will no longer sew black slacks, I will purchase them at Kohl's. So she had to give something up to make room in her.
I love that the black slacks, they gotta go.
I'm not making blacks, you can buy those. So she started with the background fabric and then worked forward. She
Oh.
took pictures of her gardens and friends' porches and photos on vacation, and then would go home and cut little snips of fabric. So when you look at these up close next week at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, you'll see tiny, tiny little bits of fabrics. And what else you see, Amy, is probably all of her tiny stitches. Nancy did free motion quilting. Once all of the little bits of fabrics were glued down, and yes, she used a school glue stick.
Really?
Yes.
That actually works.
Yes.
I can't even get that
Right.
stuff to work on paper. Seriously.
It's because it acts like a temporary basting glue.
Okay.
So she did use that, and that was like unheard of in the day. So her friend Natalie would really took her on the wild side and haphazardly cut little bits of fabric apart and glued it all together.
Those crazy quilters.
Wild women.
Wild.
She's the renegade. She's definitely a renegade. Was a renegade. She broke all the rules in sewing and quilting.
And really a visionary. When
Visionary,
you're
right.
talking about doing things that just no
Right.
one was doing at the time.
And she had the natural knack for it, and she was so good at making them. Actually, the very first landscape quilt is hanging in our history exhibit on the second floor of the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop. So it will be on its way to Quilt Show next week when we pack up everything on Tuesday, and then we'll move down on Wednesday, and we'll stay there in Madison for long days, and
Nice.
it goes really fast. It's 3 days. We're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 9 to 6, and Saturday is 9 to 5. And by the time 4 o'clock comes around, I'm like, can't we just go one more day? I don't want it to end.
It's like your Christmas.
Right. And I would tell Nancy that. Can't we just go one more day? She's like, you're crazy. I'm playing the Nancy card and I'm going home now. It's 4 o'clock. And she would be apologizing for leaving an hour early.
It had to be exhausting.
Exhausting.
I do have a question though.
Sure.
As you were talking about, that using the different bits of fabric, she would glue them and then go back and stitch them. So this one is June's Roses. That's in front of you. So it's very captivating. And what I love so much about the very top of the quilt are the different colors. It really looks like a pretty sky. Like
That's
you've got
the beauty of a hand-dyed fabric.
That's what that okay.
That's
Because
hand-dyed.
I was that I wanted to know how
Right.
how that is
You
accomplished.
get that depth and that richness by using a hand-dyed fabric as the
Okay.
background. And then the fence is made from a white fabric, and she made it look fancy by shading it with fabric markers and, believe it or not, oil pastels.
Wow.
She used a lot of oil pastels on fabric. Oh, boy.
Do you have to do anything once it's completely finished? Like when you're talking about that type of application, do you do anything? This is really probably going to make you
Great
laugh,
questions.
but like to seal it or to protect it?
Good question. Think about when you have a stain on your garment, your shirt, your T-shirt. You put it in the washer and dryer, and the heat sets it in the dryer. By them at our office, and she wouldn't be hesitant to pick up a Sharpie marker, a black Sharpie marker, and just draw a little something on. I know, right? Yeah, that made the lights blink. Told you, she's a renegade.
That is
right.
crazy.
But the first step before doing all that, and I miss saying it, is all those little tiny stitches. She freehand machine quilted all of her quilts. By moving the fabric, the sewing machine stayed stationary and the fabric moved, and later it went to she purchased a long arm quilting frame where you'd move the machine and the fabric would stay stationary.
And you have one of those now at the studio.
We have 2 of those and 2 sit down long arms. Yeah.
They're impressive.
Amazing.
I was so
Amazing.
hesitant. One of your teammates there in the sewing studio had asked if I wanted to try it.
Yes.
I was like, I that is a very expensive machine. And she's like, oh no. And before I knew it, like I was just making some cool squiggly designs, and it felt really easy.
Right, you can feel like
Yeah.
the calibration now. I mean, this is 20 years later. The technology is just incredible, and it's there to assist you, and you can do so many creative things with long arm quilting to piece or to quilt all of your pieced sandwiches together.
I love that. Now I'm hungry. Sandwiches. We're talking
Brats.
with Deanna Springer this morning. She is with the Nancy Seaman Sewing Studio in downtown Beaver Dam. And we're talking about the upcoming Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. It will be the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show happening in Madison, September 5th through the 7th. Is it at the Dane County Coliseum or at
That's the old-fashioned
exhibition
name.
hall?
The
the exhibition
for you Dane
hall.
County people, yes, it's technically Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. So as you pull into the main entrance of the Alliant Energy Center at 1919 Alliant Energy Way, you see the building on the left, and you can't miss it. We have our quilt, show banners out that say the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show.
Easy for everybody to
and
find.
really follow the traffic.
That is where you need to be.
Right.
We have to head over to the Daily Dodge News Center for local news, sports, and weather updates, and we'll get it going with an update from ABC News here on Hometown Today and your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Today's news, weather, and sports was brought to you by Prairie Ridge Health, located at 1515 Park Avenue in Columbus. Call them today at 920-613-2300.
Hey, it's Randy from Professional Floor Covering, bringing together friends and neighbors on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hometown Today, all about bringing together our friends and neighbors. So if you have a happening in your hometown, big event, small event, someone you think like, wow, Amy really has to talk to this person, let us know. That can easily happen by sending an email to WBEV hometown at goodcomerbrands.com. We have Wally Lukaczynski producing Hometown Today. We want to say hi to Wally's mom.
Hi, Wally's
She's
mom.
watching the stream on
She's a
Daily Dodge
quilter.
TV. She's a quilter. She loves the quilts. They're so beautiful. Easy for anyone to join the stream at dailydodge.com. Click on the Daily Dodge TV tab, and you can also subscribe to Daily Dodge TV on our YouTube channel. And please remember to click the notifications icon when you do that. Always happy to welcome Deanna Springer to Hometown Today. We are all about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, a chance for you to create, learn, and celebrate. It is the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. So when we talk quilting, we talk to Deanna Springer, and this great 3-day event is co-presented by PBS Wisconsin and Nancy Zeman Productions, and really celebrates all things quilting.
All things quilting, whether you're a quilter or not. The Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, as we talked, is held annually the weekend after Labor Day. So this year it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next week, September 5, 6, 7. And the center focus is the Central Quilt Exhibit, where over 300 juried and judged quilts are entered into the show and accepted into
Wow.
the show. There were more than that entered, and I did not bring any of those along with me. Those belong to quilters from across the globe, international and across the country. From for category 1 is a hand-pieced bed size, which are huge quilts.
Yeah.
Bed size quilts that are all hand-pieced with needle and thread in your hands, not sewing
Wow.
machines. What we have here are the special quilt exhibits. I have the Nancy Zeman 20th anniversary. It's 20 years of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. So I'm pulling together 20 of Nancy's landscape quilts this week that we will transport and take to the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We changed the one out in front of you, Amy, and that's called Prairie, and we'll come back to that. But if you go to quiltshow.com, you can see everything we're talking about. You can sign up for 1-hour lectures, sit and sew workshops, hands-on workshops. You can see the vendor list in the map of vendors. We have over 125 different vendors from across the United States and Wisconsin local vendors, and a couple international vendors as well, Amy.
So
That sell
exciting.
everything that you need to make a quilt. From thread to fabric and beyond. All the sewing machine companies will be there, and you can grab a hold of those handles on those sewing machines and give them a test drive and test out
Really?
all different brands. It's the one time of the year that you can go and test drive every different brand of sewing machine in one place, right in the vendor mall. And in the vendor mall, we have stage presentations that is included with the admission ticket. So you can learn and see what's new all day long, take a break, sit down, and take in included with your ticket price, a stage presentation. We have evening events. Today at noon, I'm meeting my friend Ann Wonke, and we've been meeting, right, Ann, for coffee for 20 years probably.
Wow.
And talking about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And we're collaborating this year and doing an evening event together, which we'll talk about celebrating 20 years of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. So that's Thursday evening, September 5th at 6 p.m. And it'll be 90 minutes of Ann and I going through the photos from over the years. And she's going to bring all of her quilts from over the years. So it's going to be wonderful to do that in front of everybody. Now they can see what we've been doing behind closed doors at our coffee meetups. And there's going to be cake Thursday evening.
Oh, well,
as
then it is a party.
It's a celebration.
Yeah.
That's why I wear my party blouse today.
I love it. It's a celebration. I want a party blouse.
Oh, I can.
You can help me with that. Oh, my goodness.
I could teach you how to sew it.
Yes, you can.
And also quilt appraisals will be there. Special quilt exhibits that we'll talk about. So plan your visit. Go to quiltshow.com and see everything that you can do and sign up for. And we'll hold your tickets there at Will Call. When
Okay.
you roll in, we'll welcome you and see everything. Even if you just come for one day, you're going to have a full day full of fun. And when you see these quilts in person, it's incredible to be surrounded by all this workmanship. They're artisans. Quilt makers are artisans, and Nancy Zeman are the landscape quilts are the quilts we're looking at in studio today. I think I brought 8 of them out of the 20.
Gorgeous. Really gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I didn't ask a silly question because if you don't know, you just have to ask.
All questions are welcome.
Oh, and I'm checking out quiltshow.com right now. This is such a easy to navigate
Yes.
website, and wow, a lot of incredible
colorful.
stage presentations, so colorful, and
And PBS Wisconsin manages the website. Everything PBS Wisconsin does is top notch. Their team is incredibly talented, and that's the same organization that we work with for Sewing with Nancy, co-producing Sewing with Nancy. So it was a natural fit to
Yeah.
work with them to produce the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We could not do it without them. We could not do the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show without our 500 volunteer positions.
that is
Starting next Wednesday,
unbelievable.
teams of volunteers will be there at 7 a.m. in the morning waiting for the quilts to arrive. And it's a well-oiled machine. We have a time-lapse video at the Quilt Show Facebook page on Quilt. Just look for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show time-lapse video, and you'll
Okay.
see us putting up the quilt exhibit last year.
Oh my goodness, 500 volunteers.
Right, over 4 days. And then, we work on this all year long, too.
Yeah.
So thank you to all those 500 volunteers. And the incredibly talented team, events team, production team, video production team at PBS Wisconsin. Nancy always called them the A-team. And it's our honor to work with them.
And so with so much happening during the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, again, coming up September 5th through the 7th, live updates from PBS from the event.
Right,
And
live from the event.
that is
I
exciting.
haven't shared this with you. Breaking news, Amy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now
I was
every time you are here, you have breaking news. And last time I was like, we've got to get an official Deanna Springer
We need
breaking
some little
news sounder.
music, yeah,
Can you
sounder.
share it with us now?
Sure.
Okay.
The lives will be every day starting next Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
Wednesday afternoon, and then Thursday morning and Friday morning. You will see Deanna Springer live with the PBS Wisconsin team, video production team, and we'll be broadcasting at quiltshow.com, at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show YouTube page, social media. Find it, bookmark it, follow us, like it, and then
Yeah.
you'll see when we'll go live. I think we'll go live every 30 minutes, Wednesday morning,
Okay.
Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon. We're talking about September 4, 5, 6, 7. The September 4th is the setup day.
Okay.
So not open to the public, but if you want to volunteer, if you want to see setup day, volunteer for a shift. Go to quiltshow.com and click on volunteers. We're always looking for more volunteers.
See, the website has everything. It really does.
It really does.
What time do you start setup?
Oh, we start at
Like
7
6, 8,
a.m.
7 a.m. Okay.
7 a.m. and vendors start setup at, I believe, 8. And we put the show up in one day. You have to rent the exhibition hall.
That's right.
At the Alliant Energy Center. It's a City of Madison facility, actually. So you do pay for parking, City of Madison parking when you park. But
Okay.
if you volunteer, you have a free admission ticket to the show and free parking. If you volunteer, only volunteers receive free parking.
Okay, that's a great deal.
Right. So there's a benefit to volunteering. You asked when we put the show up. One day, September 4th, next Wednesday. But again, we plan it weeks and weeks and weeks in advance.
Will
And
you
this-
be wearing your party blouse on setup day?
No, probably not. I'll surprise you with my wardrobe. But we go live with different insights to the event. So I'll be live at the Central Quilt exhibit, talking about that exhibit going up. We will be at the special quilt exhibits. We'll do a live right from Nancy's landscape quilts. And you'll be able to see all of them. And some of them will be framed, actually.
Oh, wow.
And on easels. And then we'll be live from the vendor mall, live from the sit and sew, live from the quilt to give in the atrium where we're sewing bed-size quilts for individuals and families in need,
It's really wonderful.
and so much more.
There is so much to look forward to. QuiltShow.com really is the place to go for all of the things that Deanna Springer was just sharing with us regarding the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Your opportunity to create, learn, and celebrate. It is going to be a celebration September 5th, 6th, and 7th in Madison at the Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. And QuiltShow.com will give you the rundown of all of the great things to look forward to. I think, as you were talking about the different stage presentations, they're also very well and easily laid out on the website. I think that's the best place for folks to go.
Everything you need there. And we were looking at our 24-page advanced registration guide. We each have one of those. You can download that at quiltshow.com. You can save it on your tablet. You can print it out. You can look at it, peruse it, circle, if you print it out, circle what you want to do. You have full days of things you can do to plan. The 1-hour lectures, we have international and national speakers coming in, like Bonnie LeBeau will be here with our star quilts, and Melissa Mason is coming in teaching. She's a modern quilter from Utah with an incredibly talented quilt skill. So her quilts will be on a special exhibit, and I just saw the photos yesterday of her exhibit, and they're spectacular. Rhonda Pierce will be here from Schmetz Needles, so if you want to know what sewing machine needle you need for a different project or quilt, or there are different sewing machine needles? Yes, there are many different. There are many different, including there's a high-speed needle. There's a new Burnett 08 straight stitch sewing machine that's launching at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show.
Oh, that's exciting.
It sews really fast. All it does is straight stitch, and it sews really fast. And it's heavy duty, and you can stitch through many, many, many layers of fabric with it. So you'll see that being launched and demonstrated practically right inside the door at the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop booth. We'll have that there. It's fun when you launch new projects and new products, and this is the place to be, the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show.
It's just, I can already feel like the energy, like the buzz, because it is really exciting, and I want to talk about so much more, and we will do that. Continue our conversation with Deanna Springer as we talk about the upcoming Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, happening in Madison September 5th through the 7th. I love that folks can just download, what did you call this again?
Advanced registration guide.
Yes, download this at quiltshow.com. And again, a huge thank you to your 500, maybe plus volunteers, because folks can register to volunteer at quiltshow.com. And wonderful to have this great event, the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, co-presented by PBS Wisconsin and Nancy Zeman Productions. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. It is it's Labor Day weekend. We're basically on the launch pad. I know. McKinstry's celebrating everyone who labors. They know that everyone who labors has made America strong, prosperous, and a great country. So McKinstry's Home Furnishings is having a store-wide sale. Their showroom is full of sofas, reclining sofas, sectionals, and chairs, all at unbeatable savings, like the Lazy Boy Rocker Recliner starting at $389. You can also save big on Simmons Beauty Rest and Simple mattresses. I was thinking about that when you were talking about those bed-size quilts. Dining room and bedroom sets also marked down for the Labor Day event at McKinstry's. And of course, McKinstry's team can help you add those finishing touches like pictures, area rugs, and accessories. They really have a gift for making a room look beautiful, pulling all of those things together. And they always offer the latest styles designed to fill your home with comfort and quality. So don't miss out. Discover the Labor Day savings at McKinstry's Home Furnishings in downtown Beaver Dam, and know that the sale ends this Saturday, August 31st. More with Deanna Springer and the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show when Hometown Today continues here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
From Beaver Dam Lake to Horicon Marsh and everywhere in between, we're talking about what's important in your hometown. This is Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Beautiful day for a brat fry. There's no extreme heat. There's no extreme corn sweat. Just some nice sunshine and a few clouds here and there as we make our way near a high around 76. Pretty much the same tonight, just clouds hanging with us. We'll be dealing with a low right around 60. And tomorrow there's a slight chance for an afternoon shower as we make our way near a high of 81. We have 73 degrees currently in Beaver Dam. Our brat fry happening in Watertown today. So come on over between 11 and 1. Spiro Heritage Homes is your destination. For $2, you get that tasty Pernat brat and a beverage. Our brat fries powered by AmeriGas. We'll have another one for you this Friday and a couple more before we formally wrap the season. So please check out the brat fry page at dailydodge.com. Amy Hudson here in the Slumberland Furniture Studios and the Daily Dodge TV studios, along with Deanna Springer from the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio. So many studios. We are talking about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, which is happening in Madison September 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. And I always love learning new things, and to know that this is the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show is such a huge deal. And to know that this started as a fundraiser for PBS, and know that even now proceeds from the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show continue to help support PBS Wisconsin programming and their community outreach projects. It's such a wonderful, wonderful show in itself, and then you get those good feel vibes knowing how it started and how the legacy continues to grow. Special quilt exhibits is such a magnet for folks that are going to enjoy the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Let's talk about that.
Sure. The quilt in front of you is called Prairie. It's one of Nancy's landscape quilts, and we'll change it out each segment, Amy, and we'll show another quilt, including one of my favorites. It's hard to choose a favorite, but this is just one of the 20 quilts that will be in the featured exhibit, which this year the featured exhibit is the 20th anniversary Nancy Zeman Landscape Quilt Exhibit. Nancy made nearly 70 landscape quilts in the last 20 years of her life. And of course, we lost Nancy in 2017. It's hard to believe the quilt show is in our 20th year. Yeah. And Nancy's been gone. In November, it'll be 7 years, as we were talking at break. But her legacy lives on. Her gift to PBS Wisconsin for this Great Wisconsin Quilt Show as a fundraiser continues on, and my Stitch It sisters and I co-produce it with PBS Wisconsin, and it's just a great time. All of the quilts that are on display. We talked earlier about the 300 juried and judged quilt contest quilts that are in the center of the vendor floor, surrounding the vendor floor and mixed in, and in the east-west corridor. And even in the atrium, we'll have quilts hanging. And on break, I totaled them up. I've been working all week to finalize the numbers. Drum roll.
I was just thinking we need a drum roll.
I counted the special exhibits, individual quilts. 300 is a big deal inside the central quilt exhibit, right? That's about as many as we can handle. We've had several hundred in special exhibits before, but we went all out, booking international and local exhibits, and I'll run down the list. But we're going to have Dana. Are you sitting down? My sister Dana. We're going to have 300 quilts in the special exhibits. So that's breaking a record. And let me run down what those
that's
are.
Great. Congratulations.
Wow.
That's
Thank you.
huge.
I'm glad I'm sitting down too. Special quilt exhibits are a draw for the general public. Whether you sew or quilt or don't, you'll enjoy spending the day coming in. It's like an art gallery, full of handmade quilts. Of course, when I say handmade, I mean sewing machine and by hand, by needle and thread. The 20 wall quilts will be in the landscape quilt exhibit. There's an exhibit coming in. It's called the 1876 Centennial Quilt Special Quilt Exhibit presented by Ann Dawson. 17 exquisite, traditionally pieced. When you think quilting, this is it. And this is an nationally known exhibit, if not internationally known exhibit. So we're so honored to have that exhibit coming in. Traditional, when I say traditional, that's when you're thinking those pieced.
Okay.
What we see in Nancy's landscape quilts, those are art quilts.
Okay.
We also have another traditional quilt exhibit coming in from South Dakota. Align Yourself with the Stars by Bonnie LeBeau is bringing 6 large star quilts. Excuse me, I can speak today. Star quilts. I'm not sleeping much these days.
I bet you're not.
We also have great grandmother's vintage quilts coming in from the Wausau area. These are the vintage quilts that were lovingly hand pieced. And talking with the great granddaughter of the quilt maker, Anna Nabel, she told us that her grandmother found inspiration by looking through a kaleidoscope.
Oh.
And when she'd see the perfect image, she'd hold still and sketch it out.
Okay, that's
That's
really
amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
We also have the modern motion. The quilts of Melissa de la Maison are coming in. We talked about that at the previous segment. Modern quilts. So those are the big, bold quilts with a lot of negative space, but yet there's a lot of history there too.
Yeah.
Right, a lot of history in there. Each quilt has a lot of history and always a story. We have vintage Japanese kimono quilts coming in from June Coldburn, 12
wow.
of them, internationally award-winning.
I would love to see those.
The Music Quilt Challenge is coming in by Prairie Lakes Quilters. Some Prairie Quilt Group has supported us since the beginning of the show. They help us volunteering, hanging all the quilts, and they help spread the word about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We appreciate the Prairie Lakes Quilters, and their challenge quilts this year are 22 quilts each that are, I believe, 20-inch square or less. So you have to check out, and the theme must be music. So
I
maybe
love
you could look at the
that.
quilt and guess. That's your exhibit.
Yeah,
Right.
totally my
Right.
exhibit. We're talking with Deanna Springer this morning about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, your opportunity to create, learn, and celebrate, happening in Madison September 5th, 6th, and 7th. So your destination is Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. Quiltshow.com is an amazing resource. You've got everything regarding the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show on here, and I was checking out some of the lectures, and you have one called All About Scissors. And scissors and sharp things are important for quilters, for sewists, and know that you can get those sharpened easily at Pro Edge Sharpening. Anything with an edge. So your scissors, which Randy has shared, are a really popular thing that people bring in to have those sharpened up. Whether it's scissors, knives, something big, something small, anything with an edge, make your way over to Pro Edge Sharpening Services, a division of Professional Floor Covering at 713 Park Avenue. You just go through a different door. Suite D is where you will find them, and you'll also find them online at proedge.com. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. We'll continue our conversation with Deanna about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show as Hometown Today continues here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
I was just sitting in the Daily Dodge TV studio, all casual, thumbing through my, what is this called again?
It's the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show Advanced Registration Guide.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. And then there's this stuff, and look at that. So many great things will be a part of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, happening September 5th through the 7th at Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. And when we want to talk quilting, we, of course, talk to Deanna Springer. She's with the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio, along with the Stitch It sisters. You have such a legacy with Nancy Zeman, and really such a sincere love for the art of sewing and quilting. And we're always thankful when you stop by and visit us. Thank you for being here today.
You're so welcome, Amy.
And
Did you see what's in front of you?
I did. I was actually going to thank you for letting me touch that. It is Mount Rainier on a clear day.
Mount Rainier on a clear day.
It's beautiful. And as we were attaching that to the desk here, I was like, it looks like a painting.
It does.
It really does.
All the quilts do when you step back. Up close, you can see the tiny bits of fabric. And this is one of Nancy's 70 quilts that she made in the last 20 years of her life that will be on display at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Yeah, maybe not. Amy, I think you should volunteer to be a quilt docent at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, and we'll train you with white gloves. A quilt docent.
A quilt docent?
Yes, and you'll have training in how to show a quilt and present a quilt, and we'll give you the white gloves too.
I would actually be hip to doing that.
And you know what volunteers get?
Free tickets to the Great
Admission
Wisconsin
ticket
Quilt Show
and
free parking.
Who else receives free parking? No one.
No, and
Right.
folks can sign up to volunteer at
Quiltshow.com.
quiltshow.com. When you have these beautiful landscape quilts from Nancy Zeman, or any of the amazing quilts that you're going to have, what was that total number? You had just looked that up.
300 central quilt exhibits that were juried and judged into the quilt competition that I mentioned has over $10,000 in cash prizes.
Wow, you did not mention that. Over 500 volunteers. You're always happy to welcome more aboard. Again, they get free admission to the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, that free parking. We want to check out that time-lapse video that you mentioned that we can see at quiltshow.com. How do you display these things?
That's a great question. I'll move my
And I shouldn't
advanced
say
registration.
things. How do
guide.
you display the quilts?
Display quilts?
Yeah.
I brought one of my quilts in. I'll just hold it up in front of me. This is one of my quilts I made. It's called Nancy's Stash. I made it in 2019. It's
beautiful.
And it
I
was
love
made
the
for
colors.
the Sun Prairie Quilt Show. So this is my ribbon. Yes, I'm an award-winning.
I love it.
Award-winning.
Deanna Springer.
Oh, thanks, Ninja. And Wally. And
Yes.
you ask how we hang these.
Yeah.
I'll try to show Ninja here.
Because
there's a rod pocket on each quilt. So this is just one method of putting a rod pocket on.
Rod
So imagine your curtains, the top of that, the way it hangs. There's a rod pocket. Every quilt that hangs at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show must have a rod pocket on the top of the quilt.
Okay.
Right. So that's how. And then we use conduit. Which, yes, we bought at the hardware store.
You can tell by the look at my face, like, is that what she's
Conduit.
talking about?
Conduit.
That's what she's talking
yeah,
about.
that metal
Yeah.
metal piping. It's actually 3/4 inch conduit.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, because these are works of art, there is such artistry and love that goes into every piece. Let's say someone forgets to put that rod pocket in the back. Is that something that's the last piece of the puzzle,
Well-
or how does that work? Like, what if you do forget and then?
When your quilt is accepted to hang at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, we tell you where to send it. You ship it or drop it off at the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop, and we check it. We
Oh,
check
you
it in.
do?
We check
Okay.
to make sure it has a rod pocket. Now,
Okay.
any other quilt show nationally, your quilt arrives without a rod pocket,
You're out of luck.
you'd be rejected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, again, so
We're
much
just
love.
Midwestern and so nice that we'll pin a temporary pocket on for you, but unless it goes out of control, we can't
Yeah.
pin a rod pocket on all of them. But
No.
So the good question, and when quilt makers are making their quilt, they don't always if it's a bed quilt, you don't think to put a rod pocket on. So temporary
No.
rod pockets are just fine if it's going to be used as a bed quilt. And you can learn how to quilt when you're at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We're going to talk about sit and sews.
I love saying sit and sew because someone like me who really has no experience, I struggle with sewing a button on. That is no exaggeration. Can like someone who's never done this before do it? I
Sure.
don't even know if I can talk on the
know.
radio or
Both
the
of us.
TV today.
We got up early today. I did have a bunch of coffee, though. We're looking at the advanced registration guide, which you can look at quiltshow.com. And there are many classes from 1-hour lectures, stage presentations, hands-on workshops. A hands-on workshop means you'll be sitting and sewing or learning a technique with no sewing machines. Hands-on, no sewing machines. Sit and sew means sit down and sew on a sewing machine and learn a new technique or multiple techniques. So, if you've always wanted to learn how to make a New York Beauty quilt block, which is very intricate.
Do I seem like a New York beauty?
Yeah, it's page
Okay.
12, upper right. Jane Godshell will be here. Check
Oh,
that.
right
New York,
there. Oh,
New York,
I am a New York beauty.
New York
okay.
beauties are impressive.
That is really cool.
Think compass quilts, perhaps.
Okay.
Porfiria Gomez will be here with her reused denim jacket, quilt jacket. And Nancy Bednar is bringing her sergers and the Bernina sergers, the L890s, and she's going to show you how to sew a serger doorknob jingler with quilting fabrics. So,
just in time for the holidays.
Exactly.
Those little jinglers. I love those.
Ruth Ann Berry is going to do her stack frame panel quilts. Bill Hornicky, yes, guys, gals, people of all ages will be here at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show in Madison. Bill Hornicky will be here with Claudine Hansen's Delectable Mountains quilt. Rosemary Huber-Paul sells out all the time. She's going to teach curvy zipper bag with quilting fabrics. Donna Bellars will be here from Bernina teaching ruler work. Ruler,
What's that all about?
Think about a thick, clear ruler in
Okay.
different shapes with a special ruler foot attached to your sewing machine. Like Nancy did free motion quilting on her quilts that are in front of us. You can do ruler work by guiding the presser foot along a ruler and doing free motion ruler work. It's
really
pretty wild.
neat.
Everything from traditional piecing to art quilting to modern quilts. We've talked about many different types of quilts, landscape quilts. You can do all types of quilting and learn all types of methods for piecing and quilted projects together at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show in those sit and sews. They're all sponsored by the sewing machine companies. So the local sewing machine dealer works with the sewing machine companies of all brands. We have Bernina, Viking, Pfaff, Janome. I don't want to miss anyone. All of the big sewing machine companies will
how do
be
you
there.
pronounce this one? The
Husqvarna Viking.
Yeah, wow, that's fun to say.
Husqvarna Viking, Pfaff, Bernina, Janome.
Really
They're
nice.
They're all here.
With so many things happening as a part of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, as someone who doesn't even know where to start, but certainly I appreciate the artistry and wowed by all that goes into it. I love that I could learn, that you can learn new things, you can master some new skills, brush up on your skills. And again, quiltshow.com, such a great resource. And if you're interested in learning more about any of these wonderful sit and sew sessions that Deanna was talking about, quiltshow.com/schedule. Are we going to do another quilt switch out during the break, or are we going to save that one for later?
Oh, I think we should.
We should.
Right.
Deanna Springer with us here this morning on Hometown Today, talking about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show happening in Madison September 5th through the 7th at the Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. Appreciate you mentioning that if folks want to sign up to volunteer, they get free tickets to the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show and free parking. There is going to be a lot to see and do and celebrate during the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And again, just love that this is presented by PBS Wisconsin and Nancy Zeman Productions, and that the proceeds from the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show continue to help support PBS Wisconsin programming and community outreach projects. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor, covering your floor and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. We'll continue our conversation with Deanna when Hometown Today continues here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hey, this is Randy from Professional Floor Covering, welcoming you back to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Down. This cannot be happening. I know it's Wednesday, but I feel like we are already on the launch pad for the Labor Day holiday weekend, and just really thankful that today it's going to be safe outside. Like, there's no crazy heat index. There's nothing crazy with the corn sweat index. Is that even really a thing? Just a lot of clouds today and a high around 76, and tomorrow warming up. It's going to feel weird, like only being in the mid 70s. Tomorrow we'll be back in the low 80s. Amy Hudson here with you in the Summerland Furniture Studios and the Daily Dodge TV studios as we stream live at dailydodge.com. Click on the Daily Dodge TV tab. That will make the stream happen for you. And you can also subscribe to Daily Dodge TV on our YouTube channel. And when you do that, please remember to click the notifications icon so you don't miss any of the happenings when we are here live in the Daily Dodge TV studio, whether it's at 100 Bill McCullum Way or out and about covering local sports or a great community event. Certainly want you to make sure you don't miss anything from the Daily Dodge TV studios. Deanna Springer is our guest today. It is always a pleasure when she visits us here on Hometown Today, and we're all about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, your chance to create, learn, and celebrate. And it is going to be 3 incredible days, September 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center. Really, your go-to place is quiltshow.com. Be a part of 20 years of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. There is so much to do over these 3 days, September 5th, 6th, and 7th. Again, a big thank you to the volunteers, everyone who is a part of this. Do you guys sleep at all while you're preparing for this? I know we were joking earlier, like, oh, I haven't had much sleep.
I checked my little smartwatch, and I had 5.5 hours last night, so that's pretty good.
That is good. Martha
That's
Stewart
pretty
says
good.
you only need 5.
Right.
That's
I
right.
thought she said only 4.
Oh, I'm going
okay.
with 5.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe since she's been
Sometimes.
hanging out with Snoop Dogg, maybe she, extended that.
Right.
I don't.
Sleeps a little bit more now.
So we did another quilt switch out. If you are enjoying the stream on Daily Dodge TV, Deanna was kind enough to bring these beautiful landscape quilts that Nancy Zeman had created different points along the way. Were you able to find the title of this
it
one?
hit me when I searched for it. It's Moonlit Birches. So we're chilling it down in here because it's a winter scene. A lot of
beautiful.
Nancy's 70 landscape quilts are very green with green foliage. This one is one of my favorites. I can't, they can't choose just one. Yeah, there you go, Amy. Nice. So look at that. Amazing. Art 101, you have to get the perspective just right, and she nailed it. A lot of grays and whites and different muted colors in this. There's a little bit of color in those final leaves that are still hanging on the tree there.
And it does give you that feeling.
It does
of
chill it down.
like a little chill
Right,
feeling. And
right.
actually, all the pieces that you brought in to share with us today, they capture that feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
And Nancy made these looking at a photograph. So we're talking about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, and somebody think, what are we, Beaver Dam, here in Beaver Dam? We co-produce here in Beaver Dam with the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show with PBS Wisconsin in Madison, the same organization that we recorded Sewing with Nancy with, 40 years of Sewing with Nancy. It's a great partnership.
It is.
A lot of the work happens right here in Dodge County. The Nancy Zeman productions team, my sisters and I and our good friends and coworkers coordinate all of the quilts, all of the special quilt exhibits, all of the education from the stage presentations, evening events, 1-hour sit and sews, hands-on workshops.
How do you even know where to start? Like, when I was looking at who's coming to speak, as part of the 1-hour lectures that are offered during the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, obviously you're an expert, the folks that you're partnering with, experts, but where do you start?
That's a great question, and that's really the most frequently question I'm asked, Amy.
Okay.
I want to learn to quilt. Where should I start? Well, I always suggest go to what you are attracted to. Do you want to learn landscape quilting, or do you want to learn how to make a paper pieced a star block? Whatever you're interested in, go towards that.
Okay.
There's no we don't list in with the different educational offerings the skill level, because you can start with any of it anytime. All of us started, with one stitch. We weren't experts right away. Go to what you're drawn to, depending on what you want to learn. And so many of us quilters, as you become a quilter, are drawn to so many different techniques. So we have many different projects going of all different kinds of techniques. The teachers that come to teach at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show are nationally known. And they know how to break it down in easy steps. Like the lecture I'll be teaching, I'm teaching Quilt As You Go in 10, 20, 30 minutes. It's Nancy Zeman's method of quilting. Now, we've been looking at Nancy Zeman's landscape quilts. I'll be teaching her traditional piecing, so I brought a traditional box.
Oh.
I've talked about traditional quilting this morning,
Yeah.
and this is what we're talking about. But this is even more unique because it's Quilt As You Go. And then we make one block at a time, and we attach them together with sash and a dash.
Ooh, sash and a dash.
This was invented by Jill Repp at June Taylor right here in Wisconsin in Richfield. Sash and a dash. So we make one block at a time and then attach them together. And I'll teach you how to do that in my 1-hour lecture. It's the absolute easiest way to learn how to quilt a traditional quilt. One block at a time. And Amy, you asked, is this a table runner? 'Cause
Yeah.
once you start piecing the blocks together,
And again, I love those colors.
once you start piecing the blocks together, you could stop here and make it into a table runner. Or you make 4 different rows and make it into a quilt, a wall quilt, or keep building it and you make a bed quilt. But it's one block at a time. So what's easier than that? It's not intimidating any longer when you look at, okay, I could do that.
Yeah. That seems like something even I could do.
Right, exactly. Everyone can do it. We do Quilt As You Go at the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio with our kids' sewing camp each summer.
Oh,
so
fun.
even kids can do this.
I love it. It's beautiful stuff. We're talking with Deanna Springer this morning from the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio in downtown Beaver Dam, and with the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show coming up fast. You said this
Next
is always
week.
the same time of year, September 5th, 6th, and 7th in Madison. So you'll definitely want to make your way to the exhibition hall at the Alliant Energy Center, and still volunteer opportunities. When you go to quiltshow.com, you will find everything that is a part of the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, from these great 1-hour lectures that Deanna was just talking about, to ticket information, learn about the raffle prizes, the different sewing machine vendors that will be represented, all the vendors in the vendor market, and you also have a chance to sign up to volunteer. So all kinds of things for you to check out at quiltshow.com. And again, the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, presented by PBS Wisconsin and Nancy Zeman Productions. It really is a time to create, learn, and celebrate. We have to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for our final segment with Deanna Springer talking about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Hometown Today, brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. Right now, 12 months interest-free for you on all of the flooring at Professional Floor Covering. So make your way over to the beautiful showroom at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam and take a look at the amazing selection that Randy has for you to choose from. It really captures all types of flooring, between the LVP, that luxury vinyl plank, the porcelain tile, hardwood, vinyl, carpet, and area rugs. And if you have your heart set on a certain area rug, but it's not going to fit where you really need it to go, they will customize that for you. Top brands for every look and need throughout your home at Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. Beautiful showroom at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam, and of course online at PROFLR.com. We will be heading over to the Daily Dodge News Center for a local news, sports, and weather update, and we'll get it all going with an update from ABC News here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
It's Randy from Professional Floor Covering, making sure you don't miss what's happening in your hometown. It's Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
We did not get our breakfast brats, Deanna Springer. We are here in the Slumberland Furniture Studios and the Daily Dodge TV studios. Welcome back to Hometown Today, presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. We will continue our conversation with Deanna Springer, focused on the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, coming up fast, September 5th, 6th, and 7th. And yes, we were getting settled into the Daily Dodge TV studios this morning. We could smell the brats, those great Pernat brats. Folks can enjoy them today from 11 to 1 at Heritage Homes in Watertown. We didn't get our breakfast brats, but folks can get their brats from 11 to 1. And Charlie Dern on the scene at a world-famous brat fry. What's happening, Charlie?
Good morning, Amy. Yeah, we're just finishing up setting up here. There's lots going on, but there's tons of tables outside for anyone that wants to sit outside. But there's also stuff going on inside, and I've got Desiree with me. You want to kind of talk about what's going on inside?
Sure. We are having a silent auction. We got a lot of great things, and all the proceeds are going to go to Cornerstone of Grace in Watertown, which is a women's shelter. So come on out. We have what is for Culver's.
Oh, yep.
Culver's donated custard for a year. We have craft beer in the silent auction, pizza makers, dog baskets, so many good things.
And it's totally worth going inside, even if you're just grabbing some AC to check out all the raffle baskets and things for the silent auction. Hello, Amy. Are we still with you?
Yes, you are. I wasn't sure if Desiree was still going to talk or not.
Oh.
So where do we find you guys in Watertown? It's Spiro Heritage Homes, brat fry happening from 11 to 1. What's the address there? Do you know?
Yeah, we are 700 Welsh Road in Watertown. It is very close to Farm and Fleet, so if you know where Farm and Fleet is, just kind of continue down until you see the Sparrow Heritage sign.
Well, and amazing items that you have on the silent auction. So we definitely want to make sure that folks get in on that. $2 for that tasty Pernat brat and a beverage, and anything else that you'd like to share with us this morning, Desiree.
Well, there's chips too. Heritage Homes is bringing chips too. So all for the price of $2, you get a brat, a soda, and a bag of chips.
I love it. All that and a bag of chips. It is all happening at Spiro Heritage Homes in Watertown. World famous brat fry from 11 to 1 today. And now Deanna and I are really hungry in the Daily Dodge TV studios and the Slumberland Furniture Studios. You guys have a great time today.
All right. See you later.
All right. Thanks, Dern. Charlie Dern live on the scene for our world famous brat fry at Spiro Heritage Homes in Watertown. 700 Welsh Road is your destination. And your destination coming up September 5th, 6th, and 7th is the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. QuiltShow.com is the place for you to go to get the rundown of everything that will be a part of the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We did another quilt change during the break, and you let me pick this time. Thank you for that. We've been featuring these gorgeous landscape quilts from Nancy Zeman, and I chose the one that is in front of Deanna, and I chose it for a specific reason. I love green, and this one just really popped out to me. I love the textures of it. I love the colors. The big grass that we see, by the trees reminded me a little bit of City on the Marsh. So that's the one that I chose.
Funny you say that. It's a marsh scene.
Get out!
It's right.
Oh.
And I know you live, near the
Yeah.
Horicon Marsh. So I wasn't surprised that you gravitated towards that one. Nancy Zeman made that early 2000s.
It's
and it
gorgeous.
always hung in by our receptionist. It's a long, skinny quilt, kind of think above a fireplace, but it's Nancy's landscapes quilt in a nutshell. We can't stop looking at the monitors. They're just beautiful.
I know.
Just beautiful.
It looks like a painting.
So
I know
many,
I say that about everyone, but it's so true. And
And then we took the Rose's Garden that was in front of me for the show and moved it to by Amy so you could see more of the fence. June's Roses.
Absolutely
June's
stunning.
Roses, it's called. It's an actual rose garden here in Beaver Dam. So if you're tooling around on a walk or on your e-bike, you maybe could spot it somewhere. It's a photograph that was a quilt made from a photograph that Nancy took of her neighbor June's Roses.
That makes it really special.
And talking with Charlie reminded me of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show coming up next week.
Yeah.
We have raffle prizes as well.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's tell us
PBS
about them.
Wisconsin, Nancy Zimmer Productions co-produced the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. As you mentioned, it's our 20th year, and something we've offered all 20 years is the PBS Wisconsin booth raffle. So I did some more math, and there are over $10,000 in raffle prizes. Wow, that could be our highest year ever. 20 years doing it up really fine this year. So at the PBS Wisconsin booth and at the raffle booth in the front lobby, you can purchase raffle tickets, $2 each or 3 for $5. And we talked about the $10,000 prizes, cash prizes in the Central Challenge, the Central Quilt Exhibit. And when you enter and exit the quilt exhibit, you can pick up entry forms for next year. So we've already, you asked at break, how long do you work on this? All year round. So we're announcing at Quilt Show, at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the 2025 Quilt Challenges, Quilt Exhibit, and again, more cash prizes for that juried and judged 10 category Central Quilt Exhibit in the center of the show, included with your admission ticket. And you'll have the chance while you're walking through the Central Quilt Exhibit to vote. You can vote for your favorite quilt.
Okay.
So the judging team, once we hang the quilts, the judging team judges all the quilts next Wednesday afternoon, the Wednesday before the show opens. But then you get to choose a winner as you walk through the Central Quilt Exhibit, and that will be announced on Saturday. So Viewer's Choice is something we added a couple years after we started, as we mentioned, was always adding something new. Something we've had since the beginning of the very first Great Wisconsin Quilt Show in 2005 is the Kids Quilting Challenge. We talked about traditional quilting and that even kids like to sew quilt-as-you-go quilts like we talked about before. Something we've done from the very beginning show is the Kids Quilt contest. So every year we put a call out to kids age 15 and under to make a wall quilt that is 45 inches or under. And we have kids participating. I checked with my sister Dana, my Stitch It sister. 21 kids quilts this year.
Wow.
Right.
That's
fantastic. That's amazing. We also launch a new challenge every year, a quilt challenge. Our challenge for the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, we probably added that facet, the quilt challenge, probably 5 years. Again, I'm working on all of that today with Ann at lunch, and we'll go through all the photos over the last 20 years and talk about when each of these things were added, because we've never sat down to look back at the history. So it's time we do a timeline.
Wow.
So this year, Black and White +1 is the quilt challenge theme. The Great Wisconsin Quilt Show sponsors the Black and White Quilt Challenge, and there are prizes there too. You know, you win a ribbon for each prize you win at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And 70 quilts were entered into the Black and White +1. That means the quilters used black and white fabrics plus one other color.
Wow.
So I've seen them rolling in. There are black and white and red, black and white and yellow.
Oh,
incredible.
Really striking.
Think that New York portrait of the rainy day, black and white scene in Central Park with the red umbrella.
Okay, fantastic.
That's what you'll see, things
That's
like
cool.
that. We also have the Monarch Caterpillar Quilt Challenge coming in from Cherrywood Fabrics in Minnesota, and those are challenge quilts that you had to use specific fabrics. I believe 5, all in the black and orange theme. So you'll see tons of Monarch quilts, actually 90 quilts that are 20 inches square. And then Take the Shirt Off My Back is coming in from the Chicago Modern Quilt Guild. Wow. Chicago Modern Quilt Guild knows about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. Pretty
That's
amazing.
Great.
35 wall quilts are coming in that were taken from shirts out of their closets to promote repurposing. Yes, and then the Music Quilt Challenge we've talked about
I
earlier.
really want to see that.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Name that tune.
I could do that.
I
really
know you
do
could. You
that.
could rock it.
Deanna Springer is our guest this morning. We're talking about the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show happening in Madison at the Exposition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center September 5th through the 7th. Quiltshow.com will give you all the details about everything that Deanna and I have been talking about this morning, and probably more, because
Yes,
there's so much
right.
happening.
So much going on
Is there
for
anything,
everyone.
Yeah, is there anything else that you want to make sure we cover? We
Sure.
have about 5 minutes
We
left.
have new, and whether you quilt or you don't quilt, you can come and enjoy those special quilt exhibits. They are works of art.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to pre-register if you're coming in to take the show. You can just purchase a ticket as you walk in the door, but you will save $2 for each ticket if you advance register at
Oh.
quiltshow.com if you're
Okay.
looking for those savings. Things that are new this year, we talked about the celebrating 20 years of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, the Thursday evening event that I'm doing with Ann Wonke, a famous quilter who's also from Wisconsin. There are a lot of famous quilters that live in Wisconsin. It's amazing.
Really?
We're going to take a journey down the memory lane as we revisit the 20 years of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, and that's Thursday evening at 6 p.m. And we'll have photos from all 20 years. That's my homework for tomorrow.
It's going to be a lot of fun to go through those.
And we'll have cake. And then
I know, I love
also
that.
for the 20th anniversary, the very first year we launched the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show in 2005, we had Bucky Badger. Bucky Badger came in and sewed,
No way.
stitched on a sewing machine. If you go to quiltshow.com, you can see that photo of Nancy.
I'm
I
going
should have
there
given that
right
photo
now.
to you, Ninja.
Okay.
Of Nancy stitching with Bucky Badger. Nancy was showing Bucky how to sew for charity. We were doing a little charity sewing project for
how
community.
fun.
Right. So Bucky Badger's coming back. The marching band, the University of Wisconsin marching band will be there. Yes,
It's
we've had
always a
them
party
only
when
once
that
before.
happens.
Once
It's a big
before.
deal.
It's amazing. So lots of new things going on. Everything that you've always counted on from the first 20 years is back, better than ever. From the lectures, sit and sews, 1 hour work. Did you find it?
I found
okay.
it.
Yep, there it is.
I don't know if you can
That's
zoom
from
in on that,
2005.
Ninja. It's great. Nancy's even in Bucky Badger.
That's
fantastic.
Nancy in her favorite green top showing Bucky Badger how to sew for charity.
That's great.
It's adorable.
It is.
And I was afraid he was going to sew up his little
I know.
mitten. But that photo took me back to the 20 years ago, that first year. I remember Nancy wearing that. I don't remember what I was wearing, but I was opening the show at the front entrance. She was down in the atrium with the charity sewing project, and then I was heading down her way when I was done, probably with a live radio remote.
Yeah.
And she was heading to the central quilt exhibit, and we saw each other in the front, lobby. And I grabbed her arm, and I'm like, Nancy, it's working, it's working. And she was startled, and then it hit her. She knew what I meant, because we were both nervous, losing sleep the night before.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 1,200 people signed up. We've rented this big
What's
exhibition
gonna
hall at the
happen?
Alliant Energy Center. Oh, PBS Wisconsin, we don't want to let them down. Not to worry. 9 o'clock, the doors open and the floodgates open. So
Yeah.
we had 10,000 people that first year, and we're up to 20,000 people now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And just to hear about how that partnership started and knowing that it continues 20 years later, and I'm sure for many more years to come with PBS Wisconsin, that is such an accomplishment, Deanna. Congratulations to you and your
Thank
team.
you. And it's
You're welcome.
only because of PBS Wisconsin that we can do this, and with the 500 volunteers that make the show happen, hang the quilts, take the quilts
Mm-hmm.
down, everything from ticket taking to everything you can think of. It's
Yeah.
all volunteer, and it all supports the quality programming and outreach that PBS Wisconsin does.
It really is amazing. And again, quiltshow.com is where folks need to go to get all of the details, because there is so many things happening September 5th through the 7th, all a part of the 20th annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. We've got like 2 minutes
Right,
left.
and what we're looking at today in studio is the advanced registration guide, and I could tell you what we call
This
it
is
behind the scenes if you
great.
want to know a behind
Yeah.
the scenes. Since we launched this, we call it the ARG. The Advanced Registration Guide, acronym ARG. So yeah,
love
we're
myself
goofy.
a good
We're a little
acronym.
goofy. So if
ARG.
you're at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show and you hear somebody say, "Do you have an ARG?"
That's what it's all
This
about.
is what it is. And you can find your own ARG at quiltshow.com. You can look at it right online and then peruse. It's 24 pages. And it's really well organized thanks to
It is.
PBS Wisconsin
I love the
for
map.
producing this.
You've got this great vendor list and the event map right in the middle.
Yes, the big vendor mall.
Yeah.
So that's the 85,000 square feet. I don't think I said that. 85,000 square foot vendor mall with over 125 different vendors. And every time we say numbers, I always think of Nancy. Nancy always said, be modest. So, and if I say there's 125 vendors, there's way more than that. And then the 1 hours at a glance. You can print this out and circle which 1 hour lectures you want. If you want to be sure to get the class you would like to take, sign up in advance at quiltshow.com. We'll hold your tickets for you at will call. But really, you can plan your day looking on the schedule and make time to look around at all the different quilt exhibits. There are 13 special quilt exhibits coming with over 300 quilts. And there are 300 quilts in the central quilt exhibit inside the vendor mall.
It's unbelievable. Best of luck to you and your team. You don't need it because at this point, to use your words, it's a well-oiled machine. Always a pleasure. I'm already looking forward to coming back again so you can let us know how everything goes during the 20th Annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And then next time you join us, we'll also talk about Fall Downtown Fest coming up because you're a part of Downtown Beaver Dam, Inc., the lady who never sleeps, and we certainly appreciate all the great work that she does. Thank you for being here with us
Thank you
today.
for having us.
You're
Your
welcome.
team is the A team as well.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Deanna Springer with the Nancy Zeman Sewing Studio and the 20th Annual Great Wisconsin Quilt Show coming up September 5th through the 7th at the Exhibition Hall at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison. Quiltshow.com is where you need to go for all of those details. Ninja, you will soon be welcoming some guests onto the airwaves for Taking Care of Business at 11:10. Who will you be talking with today?
New medical integrated health out of Waupun.
All right, we're looking forward to that. Thank you again to Wally Lukachensky for producing Hometown Today. All on his own today. You're fantastic, and we love and appreciate you, Wally. We have ABC News coming up for you at the top of the hour here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.